Worrying about growth, new tech, and other podcasting distractions can cause you to forget that your audience is your audience, not a nameless pool that you have to fight for week after week. Lean into them. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. So I'm not a big fan of the word authentic. On one hand, it's often overused. Goodness, is it overused. But on the other hand, it's often used incorrectly. I mean, what the heck does anyone mean by the words authentic American food? Right? But one place where I am okay with that word is when you're talking about yourself, your authentic self. Now, I'm rather incapable of being anything other than my authentic self. For anything longer than like a dozen minutes, maybe I can fake it that long, but I just can't. So for those of you out there who can, by choice, or perhaps are forced to by necessity, be someone you are not for hours on end, perhaps your day job, my sympathies or my hats off to you, whichever it happens to be. I hope that, whichever of those groups that you fall into, that you're able to at least let your podcast be a safe space for your authentic self to come out. I was listening to a conversation with Cameron Esposito at She Podcasts over the weekend, and they brought up a very interesting point that I jotted down. I knew I wanted to talk about it on the show. Said this. This is my approximation of what was said. Your audience is your audience. It's okay to talk about things that only your audience cares about. The masses don't matter. Now, I think that's solid advice for any podcaster to remember your audience is your audience. And I think it's a way for podcasters when they need to. It's a way to reconnect with your show and, in turn, your audience. Now, I'm going to use a friend of mine, Susie. She runs the Casual Birder podcast, and she doesn't know I'm doing this. So if you're watching, Susie, or listening, hi. I'm using your show as I work through this as an example, because I don't want to talk about me all the time. Now, Susie's show is exactly what it sounds like. It's a birding podcast, the Casual Birder. It's that singular thing that both she and her audience have in common. For that show and for Susie, talking about birds is literally why the audience tunes in. She doesn't have to worry about anything other than that. She doesn't have to worry if she's talking too much about birds. It's literally in the title of her show. So with that, let's say Susie starts to wonder, what else can I do? Maybe she engages some consultant who suggests that she, and you'll forgive the pun here, stretch her wings and talk about maybe exercise tips or travel so that maybe the show could reach a wider audience at some point in time. If that's the advice she's given, she can safely ignore that advice if she wants to. That is, you don't have to ignore that advice. She can also take those ideas and think back to the idea that this is my audience. I want to take those ideas and refine them down to something highly specific, just to the audience that she has. Therefore, doing her best to ensure that she's still talking about things that the audience still cares about. You see, it's very easy to get caught up in the desire to grow your show. And yes, I think that growing a show is important to at least some degree. Growth of a show is important. How important is very, very debatable. But if your quest for growing your show drives you too far away from your authentic self, that is self-creating, if you will, creating content for both you and for your audience, things that you care about, you may do just the opposite of that. To thine own self be true. That's probably why your audience is listening in the first place. Let's do some boostergrams and get out of here.
Now it's time for the Boostergram Corner.
Boostergram Corner.
I don't know a thing about crypto.
Thank you, Mr. Doug Berger, for using buymeacoffee.com/evoterra. He says, love these little nuggets of knowledge to help me be better at podcasting. Thank you, Doug. That's the whole thing about podcast pontifications. It's for serious podcasters who want to get better at podcasting so we can make podcasting better. In fact, Doug and others out there, if you haven't yet signed up to be a member for free of the Advancing Podcasting Community, which is a community filled with other podcasters who want to become better podcasters and therefore make all of podcasting better, please do so. I encourage you highly. It's free to join. You'll get plenty of value out of the interactions with other people there. advancingpodcasting.xyz. That's it. I shall be back tomorrow with yet another podcast pontifications. Cheers.